Today I'm going to talk to you about the cost of living in Costa Rica, and I'll tell you about my little green friend here. This one, not that one. Coming right up. Those of you who've been following our channel know that we're down some equipment. All I have left right now is this iPhone. It's not even a plus. It's just the iPhone 7. We don't have an external microphone anymore. And now I'm down a computer. So I don't have access to my video editing software. I can do a little bit on this phone. I can get something up here on YouTube, but it may not be as smoothish as normal, so just bear with us. We're going to get it together, I promise. So the topic of today's video is, of course, the actual cost of living in Costa Rica. I'm going to share my and Michelle's experience with this, and I'm also going to give you a little bit of an update about the things that we've done here on the farm. I know a lot of you are wondering about the iguana. I'm a little bit at a loss to explain the iguana. We are 800 meters above sea level. We're way up on this mountain. Almost 900 meters above sea level. I mean, we are high up here. We're at an altitude that I did not know that iguanas lived, much less breed. This iguana I thought was a juvenile. Turns out she's of breeding age. She's full of eggs. I mean, chock full of eggs. Her belly, you can feel, I can't even count how many eggs are in there. And they're eggs, either she's producing these eggs or she swallowed somebody else's eggs because they're in there. And I've made a decision to take care of her until she at least lays these eggs, because she's small enough that my cats can still get her and they are very interested in her. So I'm kind of protecting her. And the other problem is that it is cold here on this mountain. She gets very cold and she turns dark green, and I know she's cold, so I keep her on a hot water bottle, and I just can't fathom what an iguana is doing up here on this mountain. Anybody who knows about iguanas, please let me know in the comments, if you have seen iguanas living wild at this altitude, and if they do okay, or if I need to give her supportive care or release her lower. I don't know what to do. But anyway, that's the iguana. The guy who is installing the fence, now not the dog fence, but the cattle fence. He's grazing cattle on our property because the grass is just out of control down by the river. So he had to put up a strand of barbed wire, 4 or 5 strands of barbed wire down in the field, and he found her down there, and he came walking up and he's holding this iguana, and I'm like, what? So when I realized she was pregnant, I didn't feel comfortable just turning her loose. I do have experience with reptiles. I know what she eats. I know how to take care of her, for the short term. And the reason I put her down after the intro is that I don't really want to handle her a lot. She's a wild iguana. I have to handle her a little bit, but she is just busting with eggs, and leave it to me. I'm going to find what I believe is an anomaly everywhere I go in the animal kingdom. So there you go. That's the iguana. Her name is Lizzie, by the way. Lizzie. Lizard Lizzie. So we have done some things on the farm since my last video. We've done mostly cleanup. I talked about it in a recent video about how it just takes time. You just got to do these things a little bit at a time. We have cleaned up the banana leaf litter that was worrying me. I was afraid there were snakes under it, and we didn't find any snakes under it, but we did what we planned to do with the banana leaf litter. We put it on the retaining wall that I built. That's kind of like a hugelkultur, kind of not, but we're going to grow vegetables on it. So we moved it all over there. I got both of my tabacones in the ground, and I'm really happy about that because they need to be in the ground where they can go ahead and root and start. They get very large. Tabacones get very large, and so, they need to get a good start. I also have finished this little flower bed that's underneath the mandarina tree directly in front of the house. And it's where I have the culantro and several other things, the arrowhead philodendron and the unknown thing with the purple flower. And now I have also added my Eucharis lilies. And one of them has a nice big leaf on it, and the other one is just starting to get a new leaf on it, so they're doing okay. And I moved my peacock plant to the other side of the tree because I think it may do better over there. Something I've wanted my whole life, I finally got to add a gardening bench. There was just a little old bench sitting here that someone had made many years ago, and it's not really safe to sit on, but it's perfect for my plants. So I moved all of my plants just out of their random placement in the yard and put all of the plants that I'm nursing up here on this gardening bench. Very proud of that, very happy with it. We've cleaned up some of the clutter that was in the yard. And yes, it is definitely time for another desnakification with the grass. We called the guy with the string trimmer. He is supposed to come back within the next week or so and give us another good scalping. And at that point, we'll be set for another month or so on the grass. The yucca that we planted made a vigorous recovery after its bout with the leafcutter ants. And even the camote has leafed out again. Now, you'll remember that this is the piece of camote that we just snapped off from the main vine and poked into the ground. I have a video of that back in the playlist somewhere. And look at here, my okra that I just planted is already coming up. I'm really happy about that because I like okra. A week or so ago, I did a video about the living fences here in Costa Rica made from the Madera Negra trees. I wish I'd had this footage then because these are all brand new cuttings from a Madera Negra tree that the cattle rancher has cut from probably somewhere on his land and brought over here and just stuck in the ground. In a year or two, these would all be trees if we leave them. I'm a member of a few expat Facebook groups, and recently there's been some lively chatter in these groups about the cost of living in Costa Rica and what it is, and the answers. Some of the answers I saw to this question just wow, the expense that some people accumulate and what it costs some people to live just blows my mind. Now, I understand that Michelle and I are minimalists. We're minimalists on purpose. Even if we were wealthy, we would still be minimalists. We're homesteaders. We're wanting to go completely off grid at some point. We're raising our vegetables and but the amount of money that this person who posed the question has been told that they need on a yearly basis, monthly basis to live in Costa Rica just blew my mind. I don't understand how it could cost someone so much money to live in this country. Now, let me back up and say, yes, I do. I do understand because the cost of living here, blow by blow with the U.S. is very similar. If you want to maintain the same lifestyle that you are leaving in your, the U.S. or Europe, I would actually go so far as to say it will probably cost you more to live in Costa Rica than in your home country if you do intend to maintain that same kind of high maintenance lifestyle. It costs more here to be middle class. Now, if you're filthy, stinking rich and you're flush with cash and you can buy your comfort, even if you're wanting to go live in Zanzibar, this ain't talking about you. I mean, that's just a different category. But I'm talking about the normal, everyday people with normal, everyday incomes. $50,000 a year, $30,000 a year, maybe $100,000 a year. I don't know. Yeah, you can live in Costa Rica for that. I could live in Costa Rica for 5 years on that. It just depends on your priorities. It depends on the lifestyle that you need. My position on it is basically this. If you are moving from a developed country, North America or Europe, and you intend to maintain the same lifestyle that you are leaving, why bother? There's no advantage. There's no advantage at all to moving to Costa Rica if you're not looking for a change. Let me just give you an idea about the expenses that Michelle and I have to live the way that we're living. Granted, we own the property. We paid less than 40,000 USD for about 6 acres of land. Now, you can spend 100 times that much on smaller properties in the beach communities and some of these very high tourist, high expat areas. Property values are going up and up and up, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. But if you are like Michelle and me and you want away from all the people-y things, we'll go there to the beach for a day or two and we'll swim and do whatever, but then we kind of want to go away from all of the people. You can have a very nice quality of living remotely, out for so much less. Our total monthly income, because I am a pensionata, is roughly $1,200 a month. I'm disabled because of lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and the cardiac conditions that have come from that. I recently had another exam, or my yearly exam, in San Jose by a rheumatologist there who did the complete workups, and he concurred, yes, this lady needs to be disabled. I don't really look disabled when I'm on the videos. I'm sitting usually or standing still, and you don't have to see me moving around and going about my daily life, but I have some crippling problems and my cardiac issues limit me a lot. So the disability is what allowed me to move to Costa Rica, but I knew that I would have a very limited amount of money to spend here. Michelle and I do okay on $1,200 a month. We can't run out and buy the latest camera equipment and external microphones for YouTube. Maybe someday. I hope that eventually these videos will monetize. I need more subscribers, need more view hours, blah, blah, blah. That'll come with time, or it won't. I hope it does. I think that there's some interesting stuff to say about Costa Rica, and people seem to be interested in the topic. But we can't run out and buy the latest equipment. We can't, spend exorbitant amounts of money on comfort items, but we have what we need. Our utility bills are just unbelievably low. We paid our first electric bill after living on the farm. It was the equivalent of maybe $12 US. When I was living in Virginia, my electric bill, especially in the wintertime, it could be as high as $300 or $400 a month. There were several times I had to have it averaged in with the other. I just couldn't afford it. That is crazy. $12 for electricity for a month? Our water is coming from a municipal source, even though it's spring-fed water. It's not treated, the way that Asada water in the city is. It's about $9 a month. And it doesn't matter how much we use. We pay a flat rate, and that's that on the water. Internet is around, the internet we're using right now is around $15, maybe closer to 20 after adding some data. We may boost that internet package soon. We will probably go to satellite if it's ever offered here, because there is a good satellite company in Costa Rica. It's not Starlink. I think Starlink is coming too. We've been seeing fiber optic trucks driving up and down our road on a fairly regular basis. I don't know what's going to be available to us in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time. But right now we're paying a very minimal amount of internet, and it's fine. It's everything we need. We couldn't really run a business on it. We couldn't do a lot of conference calls and, face-to-face video stuff. We'll see what happens as time goes on. But our expenses are very low per month. I think our biggest expense, honestly, is dog food. If you want to feed your dogs well in Costa Rica, like other things, if you want the higher end stuff, you're going to pay for it dearly. And we do feel like nutrition for dogs is important. So we make sure that they have a good balanced diet. But I can tell you definitively that if you are self-employed or you have a regular monthly income, whether it's from a pension or you work online or whatever, you can live quite comfortably in Costa Rica on $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. You don't have to be wealthy to live here. I saw a lady in one of the groups, bless her heart. She was asking about washing machines. Now, she's from Europe. And apparently in Europe, I should ask Michel, I should get his input on this. Apparently in Europe, the washing machines heat their own water. And she's very accustomed to washing her clothes in hot and warm water. And she was a little bit stressed over the fact that she'd heard that in Costa Rica, the washing machines don't heat the water. And most Tico houses don't even have a hot water heater. When it's this hot, you don't think about needing hot water. You have the little suicide showers that kind of heat the water as it comes out. They work about a third of the time. You can get hot water heaters here, and some people, especially expats, do put hot water heaters in their house. My washing machine is a semi-automatic. It's a plastic tub with an agitator. You can't just set buttons and punch these digital factoids into your washing machine and 45 minutes later have a load of washed clothes. But it allows me to get my clothes so much cleaner. I can control, because I have to go back for the rinse cycle and I have to determine the amount of water myself. I have to determine, if it's going to rinse with a full tub of water or if I'm just going to use a little bit. I can control how many times I rinse it, in how much water I rinse it. I don't need hot water. And I can't get into the headspace of someone who is moving to Costa Rica and is needing these creature comforts like this. Why are you coming here? I don't think you're going to be happy. Maybe if you have enough money to just, completely structure your life the way you want. But if you're bothered by insects being in your house and in your bed sheets and in your kitchen, and you don't like the idea that snakes live in your yard, and you don't, you gotta have the hot water to wash fine clothing, and I don't think that mindset is going to do well here. Maybe I'm wrong. Hammer me in the comments, please. By all means, tell me what you think about that. But that makes me wonder, why are you coming to a country like Costa Rica if your lifestyle is so high maintenance that it is that stressful and difficult for you to live a simpler life? For me, that's what it was about coming to Costa Rica. Health, for one thing. It's easier for me to manage my health issues here. The weather is nice, the food is fresher, and that sort of thing, and I get that. But I had no misconceptions that I was moving to a developing country where the creature comforts of home might not all be there. And I was fine with that, and I have the personality type that I'm a lot happier with a simplified way of living. So if you're coming to Costa Rica and you have it in your mind that you're going to import all of your habits and all of your lifestyles and creature comforts and your cable TV channels and all of these things to Costa Rica, you need to think this through. You really do. And I'm not trying to discourage people from coming, because I love Costa Rica and it's a great place. But if you're not managing your expectations about what life is really like here, I think you might not last long. I don't know what else to say about it. I love homesteading. I love washing my clothes in a semi-automatic washing machine. I actually enjoy showering in cooler water. Michel is still demanding that we install something to heat his shower water. He doesn't like the cooler showers quite as well as I do. But the whole purpose that I have done this video and just kind of sat and face-to-face talked to you all is that this is not little America. It's not little Canada. It's not little Europe. And if you don't get your head around that before you come here to live, you're going to be in for a rough road. I hope that, I haven't offended people or hurt anyone's feelings. If you are the people who were posting in these Facebook groups and you feel I've targeted you, that was not my intention. But if you were one of those people, I do have concerns about your longevity here. I hope you surprise me. I hope you adapt and everything goes well and it's all fine and good and wonderful and great. Just know that if you are being told that you need $100,000 a year to live in Costa Rica, or that you won't survive here on $50,000 a year in Costa Rica, the people who are telling you that are doing something wrong. That's just the only way I know to say it. It is possible to live here for less. The other thing I'm kind of hearing in these conversations, especially when people hear that we spent less than $40,000 on our farm, is, well, that's not enough to get residency. No, it isn't. If you want to come in as a rentista, you have to have like $60,000 in a bank account somewhere that you can show that you have X amount of dollars coming in per month. I'm not an immigration expert. You need to do your own research on this, but I do know some things. I know that rentistas are required to have around $60,000. And in the investor category, I think the amount now is $150,000 rather than $200,000. If you want to invest in property here, you have to spend at least $150,000 on that property to qualify for residency. I'm a pensionata, okay? The requirement for a pensionata, for someone retired or on disability, your entire family only has to show $1,000 a month. So I am not concerned about having $60,000 in the bank or having a property that costs me $150,000 or more. I do understand that is important for people who don't have a pension, and that's not even what I'm talking about in this video. I'm just letting you know that for absolute 100% certain, you don't have to go bankrupt living in Costa Rica. You can pare the extras back, and you can pay $120 a month rent on a little Tico house. Or you can pay, I think we were paying almost $500 a month for kind of a really nice little Tico house near La Fortuna in a good neighborhood with a paved road and all of the services. I feel like we were overpaying a little, but you just kind of sometimes suck it up and do it. But for less than $500 a month, you can get a very nice house to rent. You just have to not let them gringo price you. I said, you can rent a house for $700 a month. What? Those are U.S. prices. And I can hear people yelling now and say, no, they're not. You can't rent an apartment for less than $1,500 a month. This is true. I know that rent is skyrocketing in the U.S. and that a $700 a month rent payment for a house in Costa Rica seems like less. That's still a lot of money. That's still a lot of money. You just have to figure out how you want to live and where you want to live. What kind of lifestyle you want. Do you want to live right on the beach? Do you want to have all the creature comforts and make it feel like you never left your home in North America or Europe? You're going to pay more. The simple life, the Pura Vida lifestyle, I can't recommend it highly enough. Works for me, may not work for everybody, but there's got to be a middle ground between living simply as Michelle and I do and living like you never left North America or Europe. We try to upload new content every week or every 2 weeks, just depending on how quickly or slowly things are happening here on the farm. Consider giving us a subscribe. Set that notification bell so you'll know when we upload new stuff. And we'll see you next time. Hello! Today I'm going to talk to you about the coast of living, Costa Rica. We'll try to keep informing you. We'll probably offend you.